And we on.
What's going on, family?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What up? What up?
True Kings. Introducing ourselves. Brian Dunston, your loan officer. 1/3 of True Kings.
Bug. Just call me Bug. Straight forward today. Straight to it.
Oh man.
But name is Aaron.
Jesus Christ. Scotty Banks.
So listen, man, we wanted to rap with y'all today. We was gonna, go over a term or a phrase, passing time. And I came up with this specific topic because I felt like actually I was talking to this guy right here, and we was talking about one day what happens in between events. And usually the one thing that happens is time, it passes by. What you do in between that time, it depends solely on you, because time is going to go by. Time going to go by regardless.
Time is for no man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's the one formula that God has developed that no man has ever been able to decipher or break.
They tried to in Endgame. Oh, I finally lost it.
What's that game?
You ain't see that?
Avengers. You said that thing?
Oh, man.
They tried.
y'all
You gotta take the kid to see that one.
We did. I was just truly disappointed.
Oh.
That end game was fun. As a matter of fact, that would have been some productivity I could have gotten while that time passed. To be honest with you.
Man.
I really could have got some stuff done. I was sitting there watching that BS. But no. So yeah, and me and him, we were talking, and last week's episode, or show, or whatever you want to call it. Last week we were supposed to talk about passive income. And we didn't get a chance to because we was trying to explain how your mind has to be in order to think in those terms. And so we didn't ever really get to it. But today we're going to talk about how, with some creative ways in which you can create passive income while time is passing by. In between your events, turmoil, depression, anxiety, while you're spending time worrying, sometimes about things that don't even happen. What kind of things can you create? What kind of things do you do while that time is passing?
I can chime in on that. I know, for me, I have like I said before in previous videos, I have an hour drive to work, and that drive in the beginning, when I first started was, hell. It was just like the worst part of it because I don't like driving. But I've been able over time to turn it into a way of, a better way of passing that hour instead of being mad that I have to drive an entire hour to work every day.
Yeah.
So audiobooks have been a huge part of my day, going and coming from work. You know what I mean? That's 2 whole hours that I have to listen to, whether it be one book in the morning and one book at night, or the same book and getting done that one a little bit quicker. So.
Right.
Audible has been my best friend as of late. I've been able to, I guess gather up so much information through these books, just by driving, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like entertainment. I told you the other day, the very first book that I listened to was the 48 Laws of Power. It was on Audible at least. And and this is for people out there who may not, because I was never the type of person like to be an audio book reader or book reader, any of that. Like I just books were just books. I didn't look at them as a source of entertainment, but it took for me to get tired of TV, the things going on in society, sports, all of that stuff, for me to get kind of pulled away from football a little bit. Pulled away from sports and the whole gladiator slavery kind of thing that they had going on with that, to look for other means of entertainment, and books became that. So like I said, with the 48 Laws of Power, it's like each episode, each law is its own episode when you're listening to it, and if you're reading as well. So because you're able to just form your own opinion of it through your own imagination.
Right.
But yeah, audiobooks is one. I wish exercising was back at at the level that it was at one point for me, but it's not right now.
That's mine, as a matter of fact. You know, I get up in the morning every single day and I go work out. But I don't work out, and I used to work out for how it looked, how it made me look. You know, it did make me feel good. You know, once I saw some of the results I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But you know, talking about your transition from being dialed in football and dialed into certain TV sitcoms and stuff like that. Once real life started to happen a little bit, it kind of pulled you away. And I'm gonna tell you, man, listen, when you wake up a little bit, not sleep. I ain't talking about your slumber. I'm talking about your third eye. Once you start to really see things for what they really are, the way that food tastes is different. The way that you see things in a mall, for instance, is different. You know, DTLR.
Walking down the meat section
right.
At the grocery store
is different. The type of stuff you see.
I'm not even a vegetarian or vegan.
Right. You know, the type of stuff you see on TV is different. You know, the DTLR, you know, your fashion, your lifestyle. We used to say, when DTLR did these community events, we used to be like, damn, that's dope. They're giving back to the community. Not the whole time. Once you wake up a little bit, you start to notice, okay, there's a reason why y'all want DTLR in the middle of a basketball court, drop dead in the middle of the hood to get them to keep coming back to your store to keep giving them your money. So it's like it's all different, and it really does, you know, make you, once you start to see things for what they are, it definitely changes. And that's how it was for me in the gym and TV, actually. You know, for me, the gym used to be look at me type of a thing. Complete arrogance, man. And once I started to wake up a little bit, I started to see things for what they are. I started to see how I started to come off. You know what I mean? In addition, I started to reach for the gym in a different way. I had started to suffer from anxiety. I had started to suffer from depression. You know, my transition shook me up a little bit and crushed me a little bit. So it was like, now I'm going to the gym because I can't be in the house. Now I'm going to the gym because I got to start my day off right. Now I'm going to the gym because I got to think about something different. Now I'm going to the gym because I got to let the emotions out on the weights. You know what I mean? So it became a whole different thing for me. And, you know, and that's one of the things that I did. I will say some people, they're not, you know, they lean on different things. For me, I was blessed to be introduced to the gym and to love it the way that I did, because I really do lean on it at times for emotional support. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm going to tell you, man, there's days where I want to knock somebody's head off, but when you go throw 275 on the bench, it's like, all right, you know, it's getting rid of that negative. I'm looking at it as getting rid of the negative energy. And a lot of times I'm listening to a podcast or I'm listening to a book. You're right. I used to listen to 3-6 Mile. Straight Truth. I used to be in, you know what I mean? It used to be music in my headphones while I was lifting weights. But now it's knowledge. Yeah, it's different. It's definitely knowledge.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We had a conversation about audiobooks earlier. That's crazy that he said the first one was 48 laws. The one I downloaded was the 50th law today when I was on my way to the workshop. But my way for passing time for the longest was working on music. But like as I started getting paid to work on music, I realized how much that actually drained me. Like it's not a release for me no more. It's more so like, all right, it's no part-time job. And I had a customer at my job recently who, oh man, talk about family dynamics. I had a customer walking in my job, and he was trying to buy a Jaguar. And, you know, he was a musician who been on tour all around the world. He played jazz. Come to find out, he's my godfather. I had never met him. Dang. And he was telling me how like he was working on getting himself, you know, where he wanted to be on a personal level. He had to put music down for a little while because the same thing with him, it started training him. And so right now, I'm more so focused on my personal development. So like, you know, passing time, I've been reading like a lot of books, like as far as certain skills that I feel like I need to get to where I'm going in the next part of my life. So I read sales books. right now reading The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And it's a pretty good one because it just talk about like doing little things consistently over time will show you big results in the long run. And that's something I think so many people want, like microwave success. They're like, man, I'm gonna just move this boulder for the next 3 months and I'll be good. Versus let me just move these rocks every day for the next year and then it's gonna have a pile, So he talks about more so like death by 1,000 paper cuts, basically, like just every day, little things. He said because elephants don't bite; it's the little things you do or don't do, like a mosquito. That's gonna make a big difference in your life.
Right.
And so I just be thinking like, all right, today let me just make sure I only drink water. I ain't gotta really go crazy and like get all my. If I can't get my veggies in, I ain't tripping. And I ain't about to try to go super. Let me just try to do one thing differently every day and let it pile up. So. Yeah. That's how I be passing my time.
I was about to say that, but my fault. But that time, it's gonna go by.
Right, exactly.
You see what I mean?
That's,
and before you know it, you will have done. You ain't even. Matter of fact, each day is gonna be such a journey that you ain't even really focused on the next day or the day previous. I mean, the previous day.
Exactly.
So every day, if you incorporate a small change, you're so focused on trying to stick to the change that you made in that specific day, that the next day you get to working on something else, and it's like before you know it, you're gonna have a boatload of change.
Right,
exactly.
Like a lot of stuff. Exactly.
I was talking to my father about time passing, and I was like, he's like, basically talking about like I gotta figure out where exactly I'm going with my life. It's only getting older. He like, yeah, son, you gotta find something to like really dig into right now because before you know it, you're gonna start having weird time markers pop up. Like you're gonna measure time by that. Your sister graduated high school, your cousin home from the army, you got a head full of gray hair now. Like that's how you're gonna measure time. It's not gonna be, week by week or day by day no more. It's gonna be crazy stuff that you never even thinking about happening. You're gonna look back and next thing you know, you was a car salesman 5 years ago. And I was like, wow. And like you said, the time gonna go by either way. So if I can work on sharpening my sword just a little bit every day, eventually, it's gonna pay off.
Listening to the books, though, listening to the truth, listening to a lot of your perspectives grow. Didn't it get harder to selling cars?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's actually I had a talk with my manager when I told him I'm leaving yesterday. He was just like, what's going on? Why you leaving? I'm like, bro. I gotta bet on myself on this. And he totally respected it. He like, you know what? You're right. If you want to go do real estate, he like, go ahead and leave and do what you got to do. Just make sure you go the right way. So if you have to come back, I can vouch for you and all that. But like the thing is, once I started learning more about the truth, I was like, the thing is, I can't sell something if I don't believe in the company or like the product itself. And when it's that mix, and don't get me wrong, I work with great people, but just the practice you got to go through to actually sell a car, it's like, whoa, Miss Jones is screwed right now,
And you probably like, because I got my car from your dealership, right. But I'm guessing you got to be like one of the only guys in there with that mindset. Like, Miss Jones getting ready to get
because the thing is, like a lot of guys, they not even thinking about it past, this is my job. Like they not really thinking about anything because they never sold. Like they don't even know how the game works. So like you got guys and they're like, yeah, take this $900 payment, you can refinance next week.
Yeah, and the customer. That. And you know what? I was there. We were both there at Comcast. You know what I mean? Like I remember selling, and it was like, shit, you get a quad, like shit, cool, bet. You don't think twice about what Miss Jones is getting ready to go do for this kid. It's gonna be $200-$300 and offset her electrical bill. She gonna be having to make a choice whether she gonna keep cut the lights on, pay the cable bill.
Exactly.
Miss Jones, you gotta have the TV or you gotta have the lights and all that the cable.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. But that was our mindset. We weren't in the mindset of thinking about others. For you to have that at that age is definitely is key. But I'm glad what you were saying earlier about the microwave success. Like a lot of people want that because that's all we're seeing on social media, which is what I think a lot of people may use as a time, a way to pass time, which may not, exactly be the right way. If you don't have the right follower list, if you don't have the right influences on your page, you'll easily be swayed into thinking that everybody's life is, peaches and cream.
I'm glad you brought that up because I listened to a podcast and it was with Cal Newport, who was the author of a book called Deep Work, which is basically talking about like his theory is instead of multitasking or trying to like just put your phone somewhere on the other side and check it every 15 minutes. Go all in for like 90 minutes straight. Just do it. Only focus on your work 90 minutes straight. Then take a 90-minute break. Do whatever you want to do. That way you can get more done instead of trying to multitask. You take 15-minute breaks here and there. And he was saying as far as like social media thing, humans aren't even evolved enough to have as much distractions as we had. And that's why it's stunting so much about growth. And I started thinking about like, even musically, before social media was so prevalent in my life, I was way more creative because I wasn't so distracted by, let me check to see if I'm missing something. Let me check to see if I'm missing something. And so a few years ago, when me and my girlfriend first started talking, I would be like spilling all these crazy ideas. And I told her, I said, in the next 5 to 10 years, the trend will be to have a phone that only make calls and text. And sure enough, this guy on this podcast said something about a thing called a light phone, which is a phone that looked like a smartphone, but it only make calls, text, and set an alarm for you. That's all it does.
That's crazy that somebody thought of that, because I'm like, I had this thing where I'm wondering like 10, 15 years down the line if somebody's going to do some kind of test on the effects of social media. I think I saw something about it, like how it's affecting kids and how they interact socially at school, you know what I mean? And not like, because all they're doing, not everybody, child, but a lot of kids are just looking at YouTube screens for 7, 8, 9 hours.
Right.
And it's like, deprogramming them to be like, pretty much antisocial and not like, by any purpose of theirs, but they're just so used to looking at what other people are doing on their phones or on tablets and things like that. They just, they just lose, normal social skills. And like even like going outside and playing, they would rather watch a child play with some toys on YouTube rather than play with them themselves. You know what I mean? That alone is alarming.
Now, what's crazy though? It's funny because you talk about it from a child's perspective, is watching another child play, but I think about what I do myself as far as like, I get so caught up, I need to learn. So now I watch people do what I'm trying to do professionally instead of just doing it myself. And it's because I have that option. Pull my phone out whenever I need to learn instead of going on busting my head. So they were saying, like the one guy, he was a real estate investor. He said, he set certain time to check his emails and get back to clients or whatever. But for the most part, he went and bought an Apple Watch that had the cellular stuff. And said, if you got to make a phone call, he can't. He said it's going to be awkward, but he can do it. Or he can send text message if you need to. But otherwise, he don't want to see Instagram, Facebook, none of that. He said if he want to make a post, he download the app once a week on Friday and make the post and delete it again.
Well, just tell them, before you, get off of the Instagram.
And you know what? That's the thing, because I'm saying all of this, and I've been trying to like pull myself away as as much of a conflict of interest it may be. You know what I mean? I try to, because like, I know like even for the average person with a cell phone who has an Instagram, Facebook, the first thing you do in the morning is pick up the phone. That's the first thing you do. And in most cases, the phone is probably next to your bed. It's on the nightstand, by the TV. It's not too far from you. It's at least in the same room with you before you go to sleep. So, like, I'm just trying to get out of the habit of grabbing the phone first. Like, I grab the phone before I go to the bathroom.
Right,
you know what I mean? And I'm spending time in the bathroom with the phone. You know what I mean? And it's not always productive. But, just trying to pull myself at least away from social media. Right. And like you said, with that watch and that what is this phone called?
Light phone.
A light phone. Yeah, I think that's definitely a good idea. It's somebody came up with a good one there.
They were saying that the people at Facebook, when they invented the like button, that was them testing, I guess you would call it like what's that thing? Pavlov's theory, which is like when he had the dog, every time the dog heard the belly of the food comes, so started salivating. They said they made the like button. They noticed how much people started like trying to post more on Facebook. And then you got a thing where now you swipe down and your page refresh, you can keep seeing stuff. Yep. And they said those like sounds you hear when you do those actions on social media and the things you basically is like all in your brain. They want you psychologically hooked onto it. They don't want you to have a schedule when you use social media. They want you to be hooked on it all the time. Absolutely. And he was saying, if you decide to have a schedule when you use it, then the company's gonna crumble because now they can't set no algorithm to like predict what you need to see and when you need to see it, because that's the craziest thing about it. Like that whole algorithm thing is all designed to warp your mind into what they want you to be. It's sick.
It absolutely is sick, because it's like not just Instagram, but like things that you say while you're talking on the phone, things that you say around the phone, like the things that you text. All of this stuff is put into a bubble and say, okay, this person likes all of this stuff. You're gonna throw all of this stuff in your face. Like That's not like that. That's crazy. You know what I mean? It's 2019, but that's wild that you could be, because if you think about it, you're being, the way you talk about grabbing around head and move, that's exactly what they're doing. Man. Like they're grabbing your head and making you move in whatever way that they want you to move.
It's funny because we have this conversation about, like you said, they making us move a certain way. Now, I know we already talked about like passing time productively, but if you get a chance, check out the movie on Netflix. It's Black Mirror. I don't know if it's in the show. They made a movie called Bandersnatch, and that's basically what the movie is about. Like
I think I did.
When you get to control the character doing the movie,
right?
Yeah, so you get to control. So you get to be. You see how like he go crazy, like who's doing this to me? Who's doing this? And he's like, I know you're out there, but that's what they trying to tell you. Like the world is controlling you. We think they're controlled by our actions, but in reality, everything around us is programming us to do stuff that we not even like conscious of.
Yeah, from the time, like I said in another video about the food and everything, from the time you walk out of the house, you're being advertised to. You know what I mean? You drive down the street, you're gonna see a big billboard on the side of a bus. You know what I mean? Then you see the big billboards that flag. Remember those billboards back in the day? Used to have people go up and change those billboards. Like, you know what I mean? Now it's digital. You may get a 15-second slot, then the next company got 15-second slot. 15 seconds. That's all you get, and then it's probably not that, but that's all you get, and the next slide is up. You know what I mean? Everything is so fast, and they're just trying to get as much information out to you as they can.
And that's the thing, like it's information overload. And the guy in the podcast, Cal Newport, was saying, if we get off social media, we could probably get done in 2 hours, but it take us a week to done. Just from not checking your phone every 15 minutes, not trying to multitask, because he said, multitasking is just doing a lot of things poorly at once.
Yeah, it is.
Which is that's the truth.
And I'm guilty of that too much.
And so, like he was saying, dive in deep on your work and allow it to take a deep break. So, like if you're gonna focus on working, focus solely on working. If you're gonna focus on relaxing, focus solely on relaxing. Exactly. That way, you can really get things done effectively. And that's something I'm working on, because as I transition to going to a full-time real estate agent, I need to get the most out of my time as I possibly can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That I agree with you on that one, because I'm running the same business that you in, and you literally to be honest with you, you got so much stuff flying at you, emails and updates, changes. It's crazy.
Yep.
And of course, we have to pay attention to the client as well. But I think that the way you are discussing passing time is definitely a factor. I think being able to listen to podcasts or go to the gym or whatever the case may be, I think those are valuable ways to pass time.
Definitely.
Right? Now, if something traumatic happens to you, all right, and it sends you into a downward spiral, how do you pass that time? With being consumed with all of the negative thoughts that are processing in your mind as time ticks by.
Personally, I like to go to sleep. If it's some sort of a traumatic, experience or just a majorly stressful event, sleep is usually like the first one, which is obviously, for that particular event, I feel like it's okay, because it just does get my mind off of it, let me kind of recoup and wake up later on and kind of address it there. But if we're trying to be productive and pass time, I definitely don't want to, sleep the whole day away. I get mad when I, wake up 10 minutes later than I wanted to wake up. But, I feel like if it's a traumatic event, everybody's going to, react to that differently. Any kind of like stressful event, a lot of people will have different ways to pass that time. You know what I mean? I think talking to others, depending on what it is, speaking to others will definitely help out. Like right now, I did not feel like, you ain't here, but I did not feel like doing this today. I'm being completely real. I got a lot going on, and I didn't feel like doing it. But talking has kind of opened me up to at least, getting in the right mind frame and being able to put that to the side and deal with all that later on. You know what I mean? So, and
not to mention, to be honest with you, we've gotten a lot more out of you than I thought we were gonna get, and I think that just a testimony to when you are distracted by positivity. You see what I mean? Absolutely. When you're distracted by positivity, it's a lot easier to pass pass by,
Mhm.
the empty misery moments. Let me explain empty misery moments real quick, because and I'm gonna rewind a little bit, because I know originally we talked about when you wake up a little bit, it's harder to stop, or it's harder to continue to do some of the things you've been doing. Football, or the way I look at the gym, or the way you might look at social media.
You watch TV.
The way you watch TV, the way you eat food, the way you view advertisement.
Mhm.
When you were asleep, and not slumber, but when you were asleep, you wasn't looking at the advertisement and how they
You
target.
got caught up in it.
You didn't really know you was being handled. You see what I mean? But when you wake up a little bit, it's like the truth kind of sets you free, type of a thing. And the problem with the truth setting you free is you're not where you're going, but you can't quite go back to the way you was, which leaves you in empty misery moments. You feel me?
Yep.
So it's like, what do you do while you're trying to process people handling the shit out of you, companies handling the hell out of you, social media handling the hell out of you, social media handling the hell out of your kids? It's almost, and then you have to fight with your family members too. You got to get your wife or your kid's mother on board with what you're starting to notice.
Yeah.
That's a frustrating thing. And then you're trying to fight with maybe your mother, or you trying to get her to eat right because of what you now know.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? Or you trying to get your wife to look at certain things, differently. It's these moments, once you really truly find out what kind of what do we call this? Matrix. Once you find out what kind of matrix you in, it's like, where do I go from here?
It's like, you kind of, like you said, you look at it and you're like, damn, like I used to let all of this pass me by, not knowing what was going on.
Right.
Albeit it may have been a little less stressful, you know what I mean? Because you were just blind to everything.
Right.
But it gives you a sense of responsibility, because like you said, you know better, we tend to do better. You know what I mean? And it like you say, you watch TV differently. You know what I mean? You look at the way people act differently. You know what I mean? You look at the way you go about your life differently. Just about my car, you know what I mean? Like, just that situation with buying a car when I really didn't need to. You know what I mean? You wake up and you're like, damn, how the hell did I just go to auction and get some cash? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you know better, you get that responsibility, and it can give you a little bit of guilt sometimes too.
Yeah, if you don't do better, you don't do better when you know you're supposed to.
And it can also, I can it gives you a sense of peace also, kind of like in certain situations. Like for me, for example, because I know what I know about people, and people have a lot of things they're going through, they want to have to express. It kind of take me a lot longer to get mad at somebody than maybe the typical.
Because you understand.
Absolutely.
That's the thing, man. When you get it, it's easy to walk away from a dumbass. Like it makes no sense for me at this point to stand in the middle of the floor and argue with someone who's clearly not confident in who he is.
Yeah, like I can honestly say, man, I haven't, in any argument, I haven't raised my voice at somebody since I was probably like 16. Like it all started going to the psychology class. Once I started taking those classes and really like understand how people work and what's caused people to do certain things, I just understand at a different level, to the point where, like, don't get me wrong, I still do get angry at things, but like my fuse is very long before I get to that point. And it just comes from seeing the truth, seeing that everybody deals with some kind of trauma, whether they say it or not, whether they seem perfect or not, everybody going through something.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's out of that equation. Everybody's going through something. Like, I've met doctors that make $400,000 a year and their credit score is 397. It's everybody, no matter how much it's gonna they got it together, and deep down, everybody just wants somebody to listen to them. That's all. So if you gotta yell and get your rocks off, all right, whatever.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with somebody via Instagram, social media, and I don't know why I felt compelled to chime in, because usually I don't. But for whatever reason, man, I just felt like it was a nudge by, maybe by God, who knows. But I was just like, I can't scroll past this one. I gotta say something. All right, so it was one of those things. I think it was a post, if you don't like my social media, get off my social media. You know, I don't give a fuck about what nobody say about me. I don't give a fuck about what nobody think. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not gonna go there. But I thought to myself, because my thumb was like this, like I'm gonna scroll past that, you know. But I was just like, no, I don't think she understands. And then I thought to myself, well, let me see if I can be of an influence. Let me see if I can explain this to her. Now, 5 paragraphs later, she finally understood, but let me take you through my process. Because she, you know, I was getting frustrated too. And I was just like, man, she really don't understand where I'm coming from. Right. And she really does have that roadblock that we all had at one point. That literally that they say that, you know, quote unquote, if the earth was flat, there's an ice wall there and you can't go, like she literally was at the ice wall and was not able to go past that joint. You feel me? So, you know, and I was trying to get her to understand that perception is a big thing, because your name is the only thing that you have, and you have to protect your name. Meaning you might not care now in this present time what somebody thinks about you. But you will, I guarantee you, because you have to think about it like this. You are no longer, well, I don't know how old she was. I'll give her 30. But you used to be 6. And the stuff that you liked at 6 years old, you don't like now at 30. You have to know the way you evolved from 6 to, matter of fact, forget about 6, the way you evolved from 20 to 30. There's going to be another, you're going to evolve again from 30 to 40. So take the time to process the fact, okay? Because we are talking about a fact. You will grow. If you are the same person from 30 to 40, you might as well. No judgment, but you are going to grow. You're going to grow.
So you saying I can't keep it real?
No, because everybody around you is going to grow. See, everybody around you is going to force you to evolve. You might not want to, because what's going to happen is if you don't evolve, where everything else around you is evolving, you're going to find yourself in a depression you can't quite pull yourself up out of. Because you're not going to understand how you fell so far behind. All right. Now, if you keep in mind that you will evolve during this next, whatever process you get ready to go through, then you'll understand why you can't say stuff like that. Right. Can't say you don't give a fuck about what nobody thinks. If you're trying to start a business, you can't say that. If you're trying to be of service to some, let's say you a Christian made over again, and now all of a sudden you're trying to help somebody. They don't want your help. They don't trust you at all. They don't trust you at all. So it's like you have to leave room for time to go by.
Especially in the social media age, because there is no time when it comes to that. Like, you know, people are pulling up videos from 10, 15 years ago.
Pulling up old tweets, all that.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Kevin Hart, you know, that's kind of, but I dealt with a kind of a similar situation. It was a Caucasian, you know, person who posted something about like the day, I think it was the day or the day after they had banned Farrakhan from Facebook and stuff, and she was like, "Bye-bye racist." So I simply, all I did, and I shouldn't even put myself into that round, you know what I mean? But I instantly understood that as soon as I got into it. But I just explained, you know, racism, you know what I mean, and how you have to have a position of power and to be able to, you know, dictate what happens to another race in order to be racist. I said, now, if you want to call him prejudice, that's your opinion. And, you know, it was, you know, a bunch of ignorance. So I just like, damn, I shouldn't even put myself in that situation. That was the only one I could send. And then after that, it was just like, you know what, you had whatever else you want to say, that's fine. I just wanted to explain something to you so that you know, can at least, I guess, attack in the proper way. You know?
Yeah, offer a different perspective.
I realized, like, 'cause I used to be the king of jumping in stuff and correcting people because, you know, that's what. But I just realized, man, some people just want to feel right, and you know what?
And I learned that as soon as I jumped in, I'm like, God, you jump in the water when it's too cold.
Especially on that kind of topic, especially. Oh my God, people, oh Lord. So,
you gotta let people have their opinions.
Yeah, let them have their moment, man. Because at the end of the day,
I don't be wanting them to have their moment.
nah,
I know, but the thing is,
I'm sorry to
you
say,
can't put
like,
yourself into that.
I know,
because
I know.
You just be it's like a quicksand. You know,
and
you
the
get
thing
sucked up in
is,
it.
it all boils down to they just want attention, and the more you give to them, the more they gonna pull you into their hole.
Yeah, I guess for me, you know, when I saw that, and I don't know, I can't quite tell you why I wanted to intervene, but you know, eventually, once I told her the way you think from 20 to 30, it's not gonna be, it's gonna be different from the way you think from 30 to 40. If you consider those two factors, then you'll definitely reconsider your post. You see what I mean? Because if you're thinking in those terms, and she did. She was just like, you're right. You know what I mean? Because what else can you say to that? You know you don't think the same way that you used to think when you was 20 years old.
You know, I always think like now that we have social media, this is the only time when like you can go back and really look at like 20 years from now, my son can go back and look at like what I was really thinking during this time. Like you can't lie to your kid like, yeah, I was getting straight A's. Like, no, you wasn't. I seen your Instagram from 19 years ago. You was smoking weed on Friday night. I'm not trying to hit mine. Like you can't do that. So I'm wondering, like, you know, do people realize this yet? Like your grandchildren are gonna see everything you're doing right now. Like just because Instagram thing right now, eventually, I'm pretty sure eventually they're gonna come up with some kind of news break that we already know that they had everything we ever did on the internet our whole life, and it's all in some vault somewhere. We can unlock it for a flat fee of $19.95 and see everything we ever did. And our grandkids are gonna want to see all that stuff. So now you gotta explain why when you and mommy was married, you had bigbootybutts.com in the search bar every day. Pop. Like we want to know what's going on.
That shit would be. Please, Lord. Please, my Lord. Not that one. Let's hold up on that one. Get that to the next generation. Get that to the next generation.
It's just like, wow, man. Like you can't really, like everything you are today is gonna come and bite you later on because you never know who's screenshotting what you posted.
Yeah.
You never know who's recording. You never know who's watching.
Jobs are looking at social media.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you know,
it's not the things of the past.
Man.
But even on a bigger, grander scheme, let's talk business here.
Okay.
Because what you slay now in your 30s, you ahead of the game. But what you slay in your 30s, you're gonna reap in your 50s. You feel me? Let me say that to y'all one more time. What you decide to focus on right now in your 30s is going to be what you experience in your 50s.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you now, if you're not focused, if you refuse to heal, if you refuse to wake up, you are not going to focus on what is going to bring you a more prosperous future. You will not. You can't last like this. You can't last spending all your money on clothes. You can't last spending all your money on cars. You're not going to be, those are liabilities here. And you know, all of that stuff is going to depreciate. You are not going to, you can't, it's not going to measure up to an asset. It will never measure up to an asset. The new Jordans are going to get old. The color's going to fade. The car is going to rot. You have to understand that if you are not focusing on trying to start a business or trying to further your career or further your education or, you know, evolve as a human being, learn some different things, eat better. You know what I mean? Like what you do now is going to dictate your future. But a lot of us, see, that's the point in us talking about time passing by, because that formula, it seems slow while you're in moments of misery. It seems slow while you're depressed. It seems slow while you're struggling. You know what I mean? And then once you get a little bit of money, you still struggling. You think you out you think you passed your bad times, but boom, you spend your money on a liability, and then you right back in the same hole.
It's the tortoise in the head, you know.
Exactly.
It's the Just speaking on this topic. When I was reading The Compound Effect, one of the first things, the first chapter, he said, you know, would you rather take $3 million right now or a penny that doubles in value every day for 31 days? They said if you were smart, you would choose a penny because at the end of that 31 days, that penny is going to be $10 million. versus that 3 million. So yes, on the 15th day, you're gonna feel like you got less than your friend that chose 3 million. Yes, on 21st day, you're gonna feel like you got less. But when day 31 come around, you're gonna be like, okay, this all makes sense. And so right now, my whole thing is, you know, I always say like, man, I'm in my 20s, I ain't been on vacation. Everybody go to Miami. Blah, blah, blah. I was thinking like, man, first of all, I don't even want to be in Miami, to be honest. Second of all, like, if I'm gonna go to vacation, I gotta be like in Greece somewhere. Like, I'm trying to do a real vacation. So
not
you know,
only that though, King. Like by the time you really get to, you might not get there now, but let's say you go in year 2025. The shit that's there at 2019 is not even gonna. They're gonna tear all that bullshit down and build some new. You're gonna be experiencing the latest and the greatest.
And plus, I feel like for me, being able to have somebody that's actually on the same page as me in my relationship, like to actually grow with, make it even more fun to me because like, yo, we can actually see us going from here to there versus me just, I mean, you know, being living the bachelor life, he's like, yo, yeah, I did this. That's cool, but it's like, yo, to really think about how far you came with somebody and see both of y'all grow at the same time, it's like, damn, like, wow.
The problem is some people just can't think in them terms when they're your age.
Yeah.
I know I couldn't. You know what I mean?
Definitely not. Right.
But you know, I want people to understand, man. Listen, if you're depressed about something, you have something that you go do. All right, and I ain't knocking nobody. Listen, if you like smoking weed, let's start thinking about a way to make a business out of it.
Absolutely.
They get ready to legalize it. All right, let's invest in it. You feel me? Invest in one of the stocks. If you thinking about, you know, whatever you're doing, if you like basketball and in order for you to get past your depression or misery, you go to the basketball court, start up a training session. You know what I mean? Start teaching kids how to play. What is your hobby?
I'll tell you, man, that was the thing. Like the studio was it for me. I remember when I had came home from college. You remember when I came home from college, I was depressed, man. I was going through it. When I was dealing with that girl, and oh my God, that was awful. But once I got in here, I was like, dang, I'm finally good at something. I ain't never had no jumper in my life, so basketball wasn't it for me. So I'm like, all right, you know, I mean, I could rap, but everybody rap, whatever. But when I seen like this was something complicated that everybody couldn't do.
To be honest with you, I'm not let you get away with that.
Anybody can try, and he can produce for anybody that's trying to.
Right.
He's in the
whether
right
you
position.
can or you can't. If you're willing to pay for the studio sessions, he doing. I'm gonna holler at him.
But look, like people are. I mean, it's 2019. Spinning it back to the passive income. Me and a friend of mine were looking at videos of something called mukbang. I'm sure if you Google it, somebody find it. And all it is people putting a camera on a table with some food on the table.
Oh, the ASMR stuff. Yeah.
And people are watching. I sat there and watched 3,600 people look at somebody eating chicken tenders dipped in some cheese. And they were just eating. That's it. 3,600 people has seen this video. Like that's come on, man. There's so many different ways to like come about passive income. And I have an app. It's on Android. I'm pretty sure it's on Apple as well. It's called Income Ideas. It gives you, I mean, all day it'll just give you like little notifications of new ideas and ways that you can make money. I mean, you can do surveys. They've got something called Turo where you can actually like rent your own car out.
Right.
It's got Sweatcoin. There's an app that will actually pay you to go and work out. You know what I mean? For like 10,000 steps or something like that, you get paid. And then they give you cashback rewards, all of this type of stuff. Drop shipping. There's something called Instacart, where you can go and deliver food to people. Go to the grocery store, pick up their food, deliver it to them, and get paid. So, you know, like it's a lot of different ways out here that you can make money on the side.
It's another one they got. Literally in like certain areas, like I think in New York and Japan, they got you can literally get paid to hold somebody's spot in line.
You know what? Another one over here. You can actually drive people across bridges who are afraid to do it. So you can, I swear to God, you can sit on one side of the bridge. Yeah. They can go put a towel over their head or something, drive them over the bridge, and you get paid to do that. You just drive back and forth.
I seen another thing too was like downtown, you can actually get paid to drive somebody's car around. They can't find a parking space. Just drive their car. They done doing whatever they do.
There's so many ways, and I just feel like, you know, if you can turn, like you were saying, if you could turn your hobby into an income source. I think that's like the model or the blueprint to success.
You know, this
didn't even know your hobby was a business.
This is the thing. I feel like we are in a time shift where I think it all starts from one thing, which is having a personal brand. That's most important. Then you build a business around your life and not build your life around your business. Whereas though before the internet age, everybody built their life around their business.
Right.
You know, it was okay. I like to play tennis, but I gotta do my business. I gotta do the. Now, okay, you know, I know you as the guy like to play tennis, but you also got a tennis racket shop because you like to play tennis and they got your name on it. And because I like your brand, I see you got a reality show on YouTube. I'm gonna go on there. Now you get paid for advertising on there. Then you said something funny in your YouTube video that's now on a t-shirt and you selling that. So now you got all kinds of stuff stemming from your personal brand.
Exactly.
And it's a book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Crushing It. And if you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, he was one of the first investors in Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And dude is just a visionary. Like, he's actually the guy that was, before we knew who he was the guy partnering all the rappers with the liquor brand and stuff like that. So he's like a big mover and shaker. He took his family's wine company from 3 million to like 60 million in 3 years, and then he opened up his media company. Now he does all his clients are like Ford, General Motors, GE, like big dub. But his whole thing is being who you are. Like, he was like, think about it. Back in 2009, he was making videos about wine. Nobody cared, but he still put them up. Didn't get no views for like 10 years. Then all of a sudden, took off. Now this man is like everywhere, and he gets paid to be him. Like, to stand on stage and talk about social media, he getting 100,000 easily.
Wow, that's funny. What I heard from that is believing in yourself. Like you said, 10 years of no views, no comments, no nothing. He still just went right on and kept putting it up until it popped.
Like,
and a lot of this stuff, man. Listen, you're gonna have to do while you broke.
You're
gonna have to.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, let's and listen. If you are in a stage in your life where you're struggling financially, you cannot change. Or, in addition to struggling financially, if you are in a position in your life because you're struggling financially and you caught up on social media looking at everybody else, measuring yourself up to everybody else, or thinking you can't do what everybody else had decided to do, it's mindset. So you struggling financially and you struggling with a negative mindset, you can't change what you will not confront. You can't. It's impossible. You can't change it if you don't go change it. Man, and that's the biggest thing here, because if you start to think in your way, or thinking about how hard this is gonna be, and that's like the most dangerous thoughts you can have, because you're gonna think yourself right out of the opportunity that is sitting right in front of you. You're gonna think yourself right away from your hobby, something you're good at, something you love, something you're interested in. The reason why I'm telling you to start a business out of your hobby is because it's one of the very things that you're very good at and like to do to pass the time that you're in. Absolutely. You see what I mean? So if you can see yourself, creating a hobby, if you see yourself doing your hobby for a long period of time, then make a business out of it.
In the business world, they call that like building a lemonade stand. Like, everybody gotta have their little side hustle, just to start off. Then it becomes your business. Right. So if you make the best fried chicken in the neighborhood, sell it. If you cut hair, like Steve Harvey, Bob was getting paid like what? I think he said like $3,200 a week to cut his hair. Just because he was good at cutting hair. If you cut grass better than everybody, man, if you brush people with hair better than everybody, there's people that literally get paid to dress other people, because like it's crazy when you think about it. Like, you literally pay somebody for air and water.
That's true, man. That is so true.
It's crazy.
Everything is monetized.
Like even when you going to buy food from the market, you're not paying for the food from the market. You're paying for the man that went and chased those animals around and slaughtered them and skinned them and all that. That's what you're paying for. Like, that's crazy when you think about it.
In this day and age, I guess you're paying for the factory that it went through.
Yeah.
But I get your point.
you can't think yourself out of these opportunities, man. Because if you let fear is an illusion, and I'm telling y'all this on every single episode that we do. Fear is not real. All right, now it's nerve-wracking, walking through a fearful situation, but until you go through it, you won't recognize how fake the fear was to begin with. And I'm just think about it like this. Think about it like a child who is just learning to walk.
Mm-hmm.
This child is gonna fall, man. This child's gonna bust his head. He's gonna fall off his stuff. He's gonna scrape his knees, but he doesn't know it yet.
Yep.
So fear is learned. One, all right. Fear is a learned thing.
Yep.
Okay, but it is also a fake thing that you learn. It's an illusion because you didn't come into this world with it. You learned it, and you learned to be fearful of things that are going to help you through a McDonald's. All kinds of hamburgers, French fries, and then when it's time to eat right, you fearful, man. Is it gonna taste the same way? You know what I mean? Is it gonna give me the same satisfaction? You know, is it gonna make me feel comfortable? You know what I mean? And all of those things are something. It's like an invisible force field, man. If you tell me that you so good at basketball, you know what I mean, and could have made it to the NBA if it wasn't for your knee, then that means you know a little something about the game. And that also means that you can identify with a unique sphere around you. You know a lot of people who know you. And if you was as nice as you say you was, then that means there's some what are we getting? We'll be 30. I'm 30. I'm 32. You 34. You 23. We getting up there in age. So that means you know a mother who got a son who need to learn. You feel me? You know a auntie who or a friend who got a child that need to learn. Or
that's you know what, that I've heard somebody talking about that as a like a business, and not just like teaching them how to play basketball.
Right.
But there's single mothers out here who actually want a man to, you know, help with their son. You know what I mean? And building a relationship. Now it's when you get into, I guess, morals and ethics. You know, who wants to monetize being there for a child? But if you're actually gaining a relationship and you're building something with that child, and you're you know, changing what could be a 2-time felon into, you know, a 2-degree, you know, law student or something like that, or one of those Peace Prize winner, then, you know, I think that child himself, you know, if he could see who he could have been without that mentorship, would say, you know what, that's a priceless thing you did for me. You didn't have to do that, you know, regardless of whether my mother paid you or not. You know what I mean? But like, that's something that I think, for one, could help us up. You know, it could help us kind of pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and just kind of like just get ourselves back together, like we're saying, starting with the kids and you know, giving these fatherless boys and girls, you know, people to look up to and examples to follow throughout life. You know what I mean? But that, you know, I've heard people talking about that being an income source. Like, you know, everything that we're talking about here, these are just simple things. You know what I mean? Teaching somebody how to play basketball. So
simple
stuff. A lot of things that can be monetized.
And it's all stuff that you're gonna be good at. It's all stuff that you have a unique perspective for.
Now, here's what I will say. Even though it's your hobby and you know it's what you love, please eventually, you don't gotta have when you first start, but please eventually get some business sense. You know, don't be the person that's posting from the notes app, hey, we got stuff on sale today. Only pulling up on you. DM me your address.
Well,
it's $11. You pull
hold up, though, Jamal. I was about to say, that's the reason why some people don't do it now, man.
No. Like, that's why I say eventually you gotta evolve from that. You know, eventually you have to, like. I mean, I'll start off like that, posting, hey, who needs studio time? Then eventually I had a booking system. The thing is, some people get stuck in hobby mode and they don't realize they sit in a gold mine. Like, think about it. I'm pretty sure all 3 of us right here know at least 5 different girls that's mean with braiding hair and, you know, whatever. And they still working with him, working it all their life.
Yeah.
Like, you a beast and you don't even market yourself. That's the thing. Like, I think that's the next thing. Like, when you got a gift like that, you gotta know how to get that thing out to the world. You got to.
But it's gonna be a trial and error thing.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna
of course,
stumble into success. Now, it doesn't make sense to make the same mistake twice.
But that's why we're saying, like, do something like you said, like that's your hobby. Because when you come across those hard times, it's much easier to do something that you've been doing in your life that you love.
Right. When you care about it.
You really don't care anything about.
Exactly.
It, you know what I mean? So yeah.
And don't think about how you're gonna be successful. Do not think whether or not if you will be. Mm-hmm. Think about how you're gonna be successful. Do not think whether or not if you will be successful. Let me say, am I saying that wrong? I'm saying it wrong. Don't think if you're going to or if you will not be successful.
Think about what you're going to do when you're successful. You know what I mean? Just automatically live as if it's already happened, and it will.
And also, don't just pick something you're good at. Pick something you're good at and you like. Like, I'm good at selling cars. I'm not about to do that. I'm good at mixing music, and I like mixing music.
Yeah.
I can do that. You know,
Absolutely.
But and listen, if you think yourself out of these things, man, like I said, think about how to be successful at it. Do not think if you can or will not be successful at it. Because if you think in those terms, you'll create a fear, you'll create an illusion there, and you won't do it.
Another topic too. Also, like, you know, you can always tie your hobby into your professional life as well. Like, you don't, like, for example, my mentor, that's a real estate agent. I keep calling this guy my mentor. He's 2 years older than me. This is my man. He's you know, he teaches me a lot. He was on a high school basketball team at Kenwood. We went to school together. Now, recently, he put together an alumni basketball game for everybody that played for Kenwood. And people think like, oh, yeah, you know, oh, that's great. We get to reminisce, come back together. They don't realize he just getting all that contact information to be leads for his real estate thing. You know, it's all a way to put stuff together, you know. So now he has them in his back pocket. If he want to do something again for the school, he got the principal in his back pocket through the activities board. He got local businesses sponsoring the event, so they're going to get business to them. It's a win for him all the way around the board. And it's like, it's all kinds of clever little ways you can tie stuff into your personal life into your professional life. I mean,
without a doubt, man. Without a doubt, I just want people to understand whether or not you start the business or not, you're gonna turn 50 one day.
Exactly. Like,
so the time is going to pass.
Just like
it'll pass while you working the 9 to 5, or it'll pass while you trying to start your business.
Like.
Start slaying at that shit now, man.
Like, real quick, like, that guy, he worked with me. He wanted to be a caterer. So he like, bro, I want to get my catering business off the ground. So I'm like, all right, well, you know, you see us all here spend at least $10,000 a week in lunch. Why don't you start catering for your coworkers? People love to buy food from you. I mean, why not? Well, like, you can start off that way. If you're good at cooking, cook for your coworkers. They're gonna tell people about you. We're gonna tell people about you. And the thing is, if they don't, you might not be that good.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just constructive criticism, but keep pushing, man. You can
that
do
sounds
it.
like Firehouse Sub. You know what I mean? I think the owner of that or whoever it was you know, we worked in the
fire park. Yeah.
You know, most firehouses got a chef that, you know, cook for everybody.
Yeah.
Started a
I
business.
know that.
There you go.
I know that, but there you go. Sure, if you like crocheting, sell it on social media.
Yeah.
If you like making little,
you can eat and make money, man.
Right.
Like, everybody eats. You know what I'm saying? Like,
give me a cashew. Let me throw that in the air over my mouth and see if I can get some hits on YouTube.
I think you can.
You feel me? Somebody out there gonna buy it, man. You know it. You know that they are, man. Stop thinking yourself outside of these opportunities.
Like, even
man.
doing math problems.
That was on that app. Like, you can actually teach students or kids from China English.
Yeah.
Like, I think all you have to have is like a bachelor's degree and something like that. I straight looked at it, but it doesn't matter what the bachelor's degree is in. It doesn't matter what it's in, but you can, you know, a simple bachelor's degree, and you can teach kids from China how to speak English. You know.
Dope stuff. You making little.
What's the
little jewelry? I don't want to say little. I don't want to call nobody stuff. Nobody business little. But the little jewelries, the little joints that they be.
Oh, the Pandora bracelets.
I guess I don't know.
Man, even the
girls.
Yeah, the girl.
Yeah.
There was a guy at the flea market making bracelets out of spoons. He was vicious with it.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey.
Like, bro, and if you got the guts to, if you have the mental stability to not think yourself out of some of these opportunities, you can find gold in some of the things you love to do every single day.
Hey, for real, man.
And like I said before, man, you are going, whatever you slay in your 30s, you're going to reap the benefits of in your 50s. Now, if that's being lazy, you got a harsh 50s coming up, man. You feel me? If it's 9 to 5, you got more of the same coming up, man. You know, you better hope that 401k stays together. You see
Yeah.
what I mean? So if you and I want everybody to know that you can, like, bro, you can start a business. We talked last week about drug addicts who found money every day. Didn't know, they woke up every day, didn't know how they was gonna get it, but all they knew was that they had to go get it, and they got it. And I'm telling you,
And so that goes
best
back
entrepreneurs ever.
So that goes back to one thing: you get what you focus on. So
Exactly, it's all in your mind. If you think it, you will manifest it. If you think that your hobby is a business, you'll turn it into one. And if you ain't scared of the struggle, because it's gonna be a struggle.
Oh yeah.
But if it's your hobby, it's gonna be a little easier to like. Don't you think it'd be easier to struggle with your hobby than it is to struggle with at a 9 to 5?
Oh yeah, of course, all day long.
I would love to just struggle with my hobby instead of struggling on somebody else's 9 to 5, man.
Oh shit.
And you're gonna find the thing that click. You will stumble. We talk about stumbling into success all the time. Like, you will stumble along the correct formula. You will stumble across that correct formula to make your business pop. But you just have to have the wherewithal to stay in it long enough to get to that, that formula being corrected, so that it creates about abundant wealth for you.
Oh, yeah.
And I really do feel like if you just think about it in terms of, yo, 50's coming, 31's coming, 32's coming, 33 is coming, 34 is coming.
Yeah, it's coming fast.
Yeah, it's coming down the hill. Time has not stopped.
Absolutely.
You see what I mean? Time will not stop. It's gonna keep going forward. It was never meant to stop.
I can't name one man who beat the clock.
Nobody.
No.
Nobody, no company, no nothing. So if you don't get it off the ground, it'll never get off the ground. As a matter of fact, if you don't get it off the ground, somebody gonna think about it.
Yeah.
That's
Be hurt if somebody started your business.
Yeah. If you don't control your life, somebody else gonna control your life. So hey.
I think that the biggest thing for me, prime lending, one of the biggest battles of my life. Me transitioning from working for myself to working with prime lending, because I still run my own business. You can think of prime lending as like I'm a contractor, if you really want to think about it like that, because I have to generate my own business. So me and starting a business, it takes guts. It takes guts, and because you're gonna get beat down.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna get beat down, but if you're looking at it like this battle, do you remember us starting out knocking doors for a living?
Yeah,
we out, boy. It was one of the hardest things that I have ever had to overcome in my life. At that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At that point.
Right.
You feel me? And it was like, if you look at, and I'm pretty sure everybody that's gonna watch this has had a mental battle that you have overcome in your life. If you can minimize what you up against going forward, and if you can attest it to what you've already overcome, this is just a form of that. If you look at it like that, then you've already overcame your problems that you're facing and make it easier to tackle.
Speaking of that though, like having different levels of mental battles and things like that, I just realized when I was saying how the studio was once my release and it's not no more. When you go to a new level, I think your release might have to change. And I feel like sometimes people don't realize that, sometimes the thing that took away your stress ain't gonna do it no more when you got a different level of stress.
Yeah, and businesses reinvent themselves all the time. You know what I mean? So you might just be what you need.
Yeah.
Reinvent yourself.
Yeah,
new scenery, bring it back to life.
100%. That's really what I'm focused on right now, which is also why I'm getting out of the car business. It's like certain it's a certain culture in the car business that's a lot similar to the thing I'm trying to get away from versus being in real estate, whereas though basically it's me creating my environment. In the car business, there's a lot of toxic stuff going around, and like, for example, when you get hired as a car salesman, they tell you the benefits package come with divorce and cigarette habit. Like that ain't what I'm trying to be around. So, it's definitely time for me to reinvent myself. And as hard as it is to like shed my skin, so to speak, it's like it gotta be done. Like we talked about with the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. We don't know how painful that is, but it's probably painful. So,
Yeah. And you know what? And I don't think we're giving it enough credit because I know we just sit here saying start a business.
Right.
We're not really telling you what kind of gut punches you finna endure.
Oh yeah.
All right, because listen, and this is coming from a dude who are constantly taking gut punches every single day. I lean on this king all the time for my gut punches. You know what I mean? And listen, they're going to come. You're gonna get punched in your gut a couple of times, so whereas you ain't even gonna be able to breathe.
You will be humble beyond belief.
Yes, and it is a humbling experience.
Yes, you definitely get that.
You know, and listen, when you, but that was the awakening for me.
Mm-hmm.
See, Comcast, when we figured Comcast out, we was just like, yo, we on top of the world. Can't nobody teach us, tell us nothing.
There was no humility.
Yeah, none. I was an arrogant bastard. There was no, you cannot tell me nothing. You mean to tell me I figured out a formula to knock on doors for a living? Right.
What?
Man, listen, I had figured out a way.
People to sign up for something. Oh yeah.
Man, listen, we had figured out a way. As a matter of fact, we had struggled. I struggled so much knocking on doors at first that I just started inboxing people on Instagram. And nobody else in the office was doing that shit. So it was like, we had figured out a way to make $100,000 sitting in the trunk. And the bosses was just like, hey guys, can you talk at the meetings? Can you
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, what are you guys best practices? Like, no, I don't want to tell you what my best practices is. You know what I mean?
Sales is a very competitive industry.
Yeah.
You definitely
I sure don't want nobody else inboxing my same customers. I'm gonna tell you, why would I tell you that, man? You know, we have figured out that formula, but we stumbled into it. It took us months to get in there.
I remember kicking snow.
Oh my God!
He was in training in Largo or something like that. I'm walking up the street, it was snowing. Like I had got maybe down a whole block, about 10 doors slammed in my face.
Oh my God!
I'm walking up the street kicking snow, mad as hell. He called me laughing. You know what I mean? Because he was just getting out training, having a good day. But I'm just like, man, this sales shit.
I did. I was getting paid to drive down DC and sit in the classroom all day.
I'm out here getting 9, 10, 11, 12 doors slammed in my face.
And then when I got out there,
of sale to sale life.
When I got out there, I'm like, oh yeah, you was
just
right.
Why he was kicking snow.
You was right. Getting doors slammed in your face ain't the best way. But it took that turmoil to force. I'm telling you, man, it forced me to be creative.
Oh,
It forced me. I could not take another door. If I told Abdul one day, if somebody else slammed their door, I'm gonna kick their shit in. I'm not playing. And you know, I just felt like it was warranted.
Exactly.
Like these people have no regard to my feelings and all that. You know, you can't. You're not finna just slam no more doors on me, yo. This is it.
And you know what?
Enough is enough.
They were slamming. The tough part is they weren't slamming the doors in my face and his face. They were slamming the doors in Comcast's face. But we just happened to be the representatives of Comcast. So Comcast didn't feel that door getting slammed in the face. We felt that door getting slammed.
But they knew. They knew it would get slammed.
You feel a door slam and you feel a little bit of wind slap your face. Oh no. That's a whole nother feeling, man. Yeah. It's one thing to hear a no, I'm not interested, but it's another, get the fuck out of here. What?
I was in a neighborhood out Perry Hall, man. It was early. It was in the winter. It was right when I had got out of training.
Yeah.
I had a black pea coat on. I ain't even had my Comcast jacket. I had a black pea coat. I ain't had no Comcast hat, so I had a black wigwam hat on. And I look like
rob somebody.
What did the kid say? Black gloves, black mask, black something. That's what you wear when you rob motherfuckers. So I look just like that. I did. So the white lady, she let her dog out the back, and he ran after me.
Oh my God.
That was it for me.
Oh my God.
That was it for me. I couldn't take it no more. I said to myself, bro, if I don't figure out another way to do this
Yeah.
job, I'm not gonna be able to do this job.
Oh my
You feel me?
God.
That's
So-
when 92 Q became my best friend. Everybody on the Instagram list. Yeah, I know y'all done seen the messages.
Yo, I'm telling you.
you.
And it took that level of turmoil for me to figure out a way to be successful.
Yeah.
Same thing with starting a business, King.
And we did that for something we didn't like. So
Exactly.
imagine doing that for
You
something
know,
we
so
passionate about.
let me.
Exactly. Let's
This is
yo
y'all-
say that. Yo say that one
We
more
did that.
time.
We did that. We went out there and got doors slammed in our faces. I'm outside kicking snow, 10, 12, 13-degree days. We getting doors slammed in our face for something that we did not like. So just imagine doing something that you're passionate about. Imagine how much easier it will be to deal with the hard times, man.
Yo.
a lot easier.
It got so bad that we talked about. We was like, yo, you think you can get your Bluetooth? Yo, we're gonna talk to each other while we get these doors slamming our face together. And listen, it gets so bad, I'd hear door slam on the other end of the phone and die laughing at his door slam. And then I go up to my door slam and it takes the smile straight off my face.
And of course, I'm laughing. But you
Oh
find
my
a happy
God.
medium in your misery, man.
I'm telling you. But listen, if you can take those principles, if you can figure out within a certain level of turmoil, if you can figure out a way to be successful at the turmoil, if you can figure out a way to struggle, if you can figure out a way to struggle, you can figure out a way to start a business. If you can figure out a way to go to, imagine if you had to go to 9 to 5 for
I was about
yourself.
to say, think about how much time you give your 9 to 5. I'm sure 99% of our followers, have jobs and everything. Just think about how much time and effort that you give your job. And then think about giving that to yourself and your own business and your own practice, or whatever it may be.
And the reason why I say your hobby is a business, because if you turn your hobby into a business, it's what you care about, evidently. It's what you love, evidently. It's what you're good at, evidently, which means you're going to care about it. So that means you're going to give it more than a 9 to 5. It's going to be something you go to sleep with. It's going to be something you wake up with. You will figure out a way to be successful at it. You'll try different ways to be successful at it. You'll make sure it lives. It's your dream. You'll make sure it lives. I'm telling you, you're going to put more effort. Excuse me. You're going to put more effort into it. You're going to make sure that dream lives. That's the type of, and that'll be something, if you can struggle for 40 hours a week at a dead-end job that you don't want to be at in the first place, you can start a business and give it everything you got.
Yeah.
You really can.
You can struggle for yourself.
You can. And it's easy to struggle. You've already figured out how to struggle.
That's right. Be a t-shirt. Struggle for yourself rather than somebody else.
Yeah, there you go.
It don't get no better than that.
It was just speaking on like how y'all had your little story about the Comcast. I had something similar. I'll never forget. When I first started hanging out with the real estate club kids, I was hanging around. I realized that a lot of the how young black kids what they do is pyramid schemes, right? So
Yeah, I heard about that.
So the guy, it was this guy, I'll never forget, he telling the story like, I did $6 million in sales on my college campus last year, and I'm like, oh, for real, this is my first time here. I'm like, all right, what you do? And of course, he's not gonna say I run a pyramid scheme. So I'm like, yo, holla at me. He like, look, it's not a good time to talk right now, but give me your number, I'll rap to you. I'm like, bet. So a week go by, he called me up all the time. Yeah, man, hey, look, you in Towson right now? I'm like, no, I can get there. What's up? Let's go. He's like, yeah, man, you meet me at the Starbucks. I'm just like, say some stuff real quick. Get there. He like, yeah, I'm with this company called Secret, and we got this. First of all, the company's called Secret.
The Secret, yo.
First of all, it's called Secret, but it's spelled like the sea, because they got this stuff from the Dead Sea. So this guy pulls out a salt and oil scrub, which I realized wasn't nothing, bro. So first of all, the salt and oil scrub, right, ain't nothing but extra virgin olive oil and some sugar in it. Like, you can make this in the house. But this dude had a jar of it with the secret thing. So I'm like, all right, cool. He puts it in your hand real quick.
All right, go do it. He's like, then rub it up for 10 seconds. All right. So I do it. He's like, you see how soft your hands are? I'm like,
Yeah, it was just as soft as they was.
Right. So long story short,
Just sound like a scam.
long story short, he like, yeah, you do music, right? So I'm like, yeah. He like, man, my boy, friends with DJ Carnage and Ty Dolla $ign and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh, for real? He like, yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got to link with him. So he's like, look, I'm gonna put you on with him once you get in the company.
Once you get
Like,
in the
oh,
building.
Man. So I'm like, all right, what we gotta do for the company? He's like, look, when the next time you free? So I'm like, this Saturday. Like, all right, meet me at Panera Bread. So cool. I tell him, yeah, I'm like, why you in no office? You know, you got business, why you got no office? So then I get my homeboy. I'm like, John, come on, we gonna meet up with this guy and we gonna do this business thing. He's like, all right, cool, I'm trying to make some money. Yeah, let's go. So we get up there. He's like, look, this is what you do. Pull out your phone and call everybody in and say you started a new business. So I'm like, no, I didn't start a new. Call everybody. I'm like, all right, let's see what's up. Maybe you know something I don't know. So he's like, yeah, all you gotta do is refer them into the business and you make money. So I'm like, hold up. So you mean to tell me we don't sell nothing? We just refer people to make money? And he's like, yeah. So after about an hour, 45 minutes, I conveniently had a family emergency. And, I blocked his number. But one thing I learned was that when it came to the studio, I told everybody from that day on, like, yo, look, you refer somebody, I'll give you a free hour. And boom, my clientele went through the roof. So something convenient came out of that pyramid scheme. So it's like, like you said, doing it for something you don't want to do.
Witty, yo. You gotta be on your toes out here.
Yeah, you do, man.
But yeah, yo, listen. Passing time. Time gonna pass, man. If you depressed, you have to know that, if you're in the middle of a turmoil, you're in the middle of a turmoil season. Your season is full of turmoil. You got to know that time's going to go by. This too shall pass. Time's going to go by.
Definitely.
All right. What you do in between that time frame is going to be completely up to you. All right. Now, if you just know that the time is going to go by, you can try to be productive within that time frame. All right. Start your business. If you're struggling and you down and out, don't neglect the problem. Don't sit on your couch and smoke weed every day trying to wait for the problem to go by. Like that's the one of the most mind-blowing things for me. If you don't address the issue, nothing's gonna happen. You being broke is gonna continue. All right. And listen, if you want to break the chains in your family's life, start to leave a legacy. Come on, man. What better way to do that than starting your own business? What better way to do that than to start your own business? Something that has your name connected to it, something you can pass down to your son or your daughter, or if they want to sell it, whatever. As long as it can create the wealth for them, it might not be their dream. You know what I mean? But you would have left something for them to start with, and it would have been more than you started with. And I know you got a hobby. That's the part that I want you to focus on the most. Like, this time's gonna go by. You can't waste it being depressed, eating yourself to death, smoking yourself to death, drinking yourself to death. You can't waste it that way. Why not start your business? Why not start your business out of something that you find joy in? That's gonna be. Listen, man. We had a couple of weeks ago. We had a personal trainer on the show. You know what I mean? Mind, body, and spirit. Shout out to them. But this king told me, like, man, same thing with the other personal trainer, Monty, man, with the boxing personal trainer. Listen, these dudes realized that they turned to something when their life was in disarray and found joy in it and turned it into something that brought them wealth.
Absolutely.
Or is in the midst of bringing them wealth. I'm not saying that they're rich, but I'm saying that they have peace in it. They like to make money from it. They can make money from it, and they're being productive with it. It's passing time.
That's another important thing too, though. Like, don't be looking like hurt to get rich off of your hobby. Your job need to make you rich. Why would you expect your hobby to hurt and make you rich?
Yeah,
just have something to.
You gotta get out of that mindset.
Yeah. Start chopping at that now, man.
And so, look, shameless plug to all my cannabinoid fans out there. I have a website, I have an Instagram as well. It's I got that 2_IGTT, which is what IGTT stands for. Website is igttstore.com. Go check it out. We got apparel, we got lighters, grinders, pipes, all that stuff. So all my cannabinoid fans, CBD, THC, y'all know what I'm saying. Go check it out.
Yeah, absolutely, yo. Like, and that's the reason why I was saying, like, yo, like, yeah, if all you do is smoke, yo, start your business.
You can start.
Start a business. Like, I don't care, I ain't judging you. Start a business. Start a business. Start a business. If you love smoking, start a business. If you love hooping, start a business. If you love boxing, start a business. If you love crocheting, start a business. If you like doing hair, start a business. If you like video games, start a business. If you like eating, apparently you can start a business. Let's start a business.
Everybody else
start a
is doing
business,
it,
man.
Everybody else is doing it.
Please, guys, do not allow yourself to flow through your 30s, and you're gonna be pissed once this time goes by, and the first thing I'm gonna say is, dang, time flies.
Yeah.
I swear.
Absolutely.
I swear. You know, I'm looking at your little man.
Businesses.
14 years old now, man.
No.
Jaleel's 14, bro.
Trust me, son.
Oh my
Same
gosh.
thing, man.
I'm telling y'all now, if you don't think time flies, look at your kids. If you don't think time flies, look at where you used to be.
You don't think time flies? Have a kid.
Right. You know what? If you don't think time flies, man, look at when the last time you've been to high school.
You don't think time flies, man? Stand on a scale.
Right. That's a good one. But yo, that's the biggest thing for us. We wanted to talk to you about passing time. We wanted to discuss the fact that the formula, designed by God, has never been broken by no man. So you know you can't stop it. So you know time's gonna go forward. What are you gonna do in between the time? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You know it's gonna go by. What are you gonna do? Start your business. It don't matter what it is. I don't give a damn what it is. Start the business.
Just be productive with that time. So
Yeah.
As I've been told, they say in prison, do the time, don't let the time do you.
Damn, that's rough.
especially in prison.
Boy, that's a rough thing to buy into, boy. Listen,
do this for life.
yeah. Listen, if you think about, I don't mean to jump in, but it is rough. Yo, that's rough, yo. That's rough. That's a rough thing to buy into. Don't let the time do you. How many years you got? Man, I'm telling you, these dudes that's being wrongfully accused, man. Can you? Oh, come on, man. I would get cut in half if a judge sentenced me to life for some shit I did not do.
What Richard Pryor say, man? Triple life.
Yo, I couldn't do it, yo. It would break me.
Oh Lord,
that's tough, man. When you know in your heart you didn't do it.
Yeah. And that would break me down, man.
Ain't enough money in the world to repay somebody for that. Like somebody you taking, it don't matter if you took a year from their life or 10 years or 100 years, whatever. I'm not 100, but 30 years. There's people getting out from 30 years. Like Hurricane Carter, the boxer back in the day. Went to jail in the 60s and got out in like 2000 or something like that. That's insane, man, for something he didn't do.
Man, shout out to them two black women, man, that's getting them dudes out. I think they got like 17 people. They try to make it seem like it was Kim Kardashian, but it was these two black women.
Oh my
These two
God.
black lawyers, man, bringing these boys home, man. Shout out to them, man, because good gosh, man, I would be so helpless if somebody didn't come rescue me.
Wow.
Can you imagine? I know them boys was, oh man, they are completely in their debt for forever. And that's mad dope that she brought them home, that they brought them home. So, but I appreciate talking to y'all, man. Next Thursday?
Yeah.
Next Thursday, man. Tune in. We're gonna have something slick for y'all, something interesting that we're gonna be discussing, and hopefully you can get something from it.